It's by Fuxin, so by one of China's greatest reformers. And our mission is to educate people, inform people about China, in particular these days, contemporary China. We do that through kind of three pillars. We've got a school of Chinese studies, children and adults both studying Chinese. We have a gallery, and I just realized the gallery is open this evening, so after this, please feel free to take a look. And we do lots of arts and culture programming like this evening. We also do lots of programming around business. And just to give you a sort of a sense of the span and the range of things that we do, about a month ago we did a US-China technology conference, which had about 300 people and a number of panel discussions. We always have Chinese voices in every program we do. So that, I think, differentiates us from a lot of other organizations. Yesterday we did a small breakfast briefing that was about blockchain in China. So, and it was some of the leading thinkers on blockchain in the United States and China. And then, of course, tonight we've got this going on. A couple of months ago, we're thrilled to welcome Barbara back. She was back here a couple of months ago with another cutting-edge artist from Shanghai named Luyan. And so we have a series of art talks. You know, we just do a whole host of things. But the main thing is that, you know, these days we feel that the mood, the mood around China is so incredibly negative, and the lack of understanding and misperception is really terrible and dangerous. And so we're by no means apologists for any government. We're not aligned with the US government. We're not aligned with the Chinese government. But we feel that it's more urgent than ever for people to start understanding what's going on in China as the second great power in the world. You know, we also feel that what better way to bring China to life than through art, and to bring to life the complexity of China. You will certainly learn about the complexity of the thinking that's going on in China these days when you see some of Sun Xun's videos. So I want to introduce our panelists, our speakers tonight, and then what we're going to do is we're going to first watch one of Sun Xun's videos, and then Sun Xun and Barbara will come up and we'll have a conversation. But Sun Xun, as you know, he's a contemporary artist in China who's really a polymath when it comes to his art. He's best known probably for his animated videos, which are made using multimedia techniques and are hand-drawn, as you will see. But he also does wood blocks, he does painting, he does all kinds of things. And his work probes issues dealing with culture, memory, politics, and his skepticism of official history. And that's not just Chinese official history, it's any official history. He was born in 1980 in a small town, yes? A small town, yep. And then he went to Hangzhou to study art at the China Academy of Art. And his work has now been included in exhibitions in the Guggenheim Museum, the Hammer Museum in Los Angeles, and the Minsheng Art Museum in Shanghai, as well as many other places. So, and Sun Xun lives and works in Beijing. Barbara is an award-winning journalist, art critic, and curator who's really literally one of the world's leading authorities on contemporary Chinese art. Her latest book, called Brand New Art from China, A Generation on the Rise, just came out last September. And her writing has appeared in Vanity Fair, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Village Voice, Departures, et cetera, and Art News, Art and Auction, Art in America. And she's written a number of very important monographs on young Chinese artists, including the first published artist profile of Ai Weiwei for Art News in 2005. So she's been following this story for quite a long time. Barbara lectures regularly across the USA and Asia and was the keynote speaker at 2018's Art Basel Hong Kong. So we're now going to watch the first video, and then after about a conversation of about half an hour, we're going to take a break and watch a second video that we can then talk about that one as well. So, yeah. Simone, why don't you go over there, and then maybe Sun Xun needs to sit next to the translator. Yeah. Okay, so Simone Zhang is going to help us with translation. Thank you, Simone. Well, that was cheery. So let me see if that's working. Yeah. So Sun Xun, I have to ask you. I mean, that film was made in 2014, I think. So what was happening that year? You said it was the year, you know, what happened that made you create this thing? What were you thinking about?
Okay, I speak Chinese.
Yeah, sure.
其实呢，这个作品是发生在龙年以前，因为龙年应该是2013年。
12年。
啊，12年。对，12年，2012年。然后
你用那个对，你用那个麦克风。
然后那一年呢，正好是这个有一本英文杂志是在中国，它是《中国经济评论》这个杂志。然后呢，他们杂志社联系到我说，你能不能用艺术家的视角，你对中国有一个预测，然后给我们设计一期的封面。
OK， 翻译一下。Wait till the light turns green. Is it green? Yes. Good.
So the work is actually set in the Dragon Year, which is 2012. There was an English magazine in China who is called the China Economic Review. They asked me to preview and foresee the Chinese economy from the point of view as an artist and design the cover of that magazine for them.
然后那个要对他们就是通过这个杂志的封面，要对中国的龙年有一个预测。然后
And through the cover that I designed for this magazine, they would like me to have a forecast on the Dragon Year in China. Yeah.
然后我当时做完这个之后呢，龙年就过去了。然后呢，我在香港做了一个展览。那么我给这个展览的名字呢，就叫做《龙年往事》，就是过去的那个龙年。
So after the Dragon Year, I had an exhibition in Hong Kong, and I made a work like you saw today, and then I named that work "The Happenings That Happened in the Dragon Year." What was the official title of your English?
What happened in past Dragon Year?
The past of Dragon Year.
就是所以说，然后我其实在这个里面，那一年我不知道在座的是不是能理解，中国发生了很大的事情。
I'm not sure if everybody here can understand the happenings of China that year, but a lot of things happened that year in China.
对，然后就是美国的，甚至就是美国的国务卿访问中国，美国国务卿已经到中国了，然后中国临时取消了建塔的计划。
The state secretary arrived in China already that year, but the China government canceled his visit or her visit at the time.
对，因为这个是在国际的政治上是非常非常不礼貌的。
And it's a very impolite and rude action in the international affairs, realm.
对，所以说他其实在这个里面，中国内部是发生了权力交叠的这个故事。
So what happened behind the scene that nobody saw in the international stage was that a lot of the power play happened in the Chinese government.
对，就所以大家能在电影里看到的事儿，其实可能都发生了。
Many scenes that you could have seen in the films and TV may have already happened in China.
对，然后所以我这个作品讨论的其实是中国，就是说中国的一个就是步入现代社会，现在这个时代的时候，它发生一个特别让人惊奇的一个地方，就是它仍然在权力的这个交接上面会出现问题，然后我们很多的问题其实都是围绕着这个展开。
So the power play and the power rally in China has created many problems in the modern China, and that is surprising to everybody, including myself.
对，因为就是所有很多问题其实都自己给自己找。
And many problems that we have today was sought after by ourselves.
We sought after by ourselves.
We looked for those problems.
Okay, so let's talk about the musicians for a second. The musicians are so ugly and they look cruel, and then you've got, the audience, the masses are also ugly and seem cruel, and then they start throwing things at the musicians, and it made me think of the Cultural Revolution. And I'm just wondering, with the mass meetings of the Cultural Revolution, is that what you were sort of referring to, and what were you saying about it? What was that scene about?
其实我的一个感觉呢是这样，就是很多时候呢，我们都是很多艺术家，就是他是采取一种就对政府持有一种批判的姿态，或者对政治本身就有一种批判的姿态。但是后来我的一个感觉是什么呢？我觉得它不是单纯的就是一个政治的问题，它是我们每一个人的问题。就是我们每一个人都是会选择一个最方便的一个方式，然后去表达自己。其实这个有点不负责任，然后因为它太容易了。但是我觉得中国的一个社会当中很多的一个问题，其实是个人造成的，就是每一个人都有责任，就不能说是你把这一个事儿就推给一个东西就好了，我是无辜的，我是干净的，我是在道德制高点上的，我是没有任何错误的，那所有错误都是那里造成的。其实我不这么看，我觉得每一个人都是应该负有这个责任。
So many artists in China actually take the position to criticize the government or politics itself. But my feeling is that it's not the wrongdoing of politics or the government, but it's the problem of every individual. It's the problem of every one of us. So we are responsible for our own conduct and behavior, but many of us chose to behave and express ourselves in a convenient way, which is, to me, not a very responsible way of behaving in a society because it's too easy. Many social problems are not caused by politics or government, it's caused by the individuals in the society. And we should not say that I am clean, I am innocent, I am so moral, and I am problem-free. And that to me is what I was trying to express.
对，然后它这里面的声音很难听，我也知道是很难听，因为这个声音全是我自己做的。然后我那个口琴也是我吹的，那小提琴也是我拉的，然后那是我第一次拉小提琴，我甚至拉之前我都不知道小提琴那个弦上有松香的，我怎么拉都拉不响，后来说得抹点松香才能拉响。所以我就是因为我是在利用身边所有的东西，我就来做出一个就是一种气质，因为我不会做任何的音乐，我也没学过乐器，但是我觉得可以让它可怕，可以让它很恶心，会让人不舒服。其实我要的是这个东西，所以说那里面所有的声音全是我自己做的，包括那个打雷我都是用纸，然后那个雷声滚滚，其实是一个很大的一个杠铃在地上滚，然后我全是这样来做的。其实我就是要的这个，我完全是我一个人去做这个事情。然后呢，这是一个个体，这是中国那么多人的一个个体。然后呢，我把这个事儿给做了。那这个里面就是说，是不是能够给人带来一种更多的一个思考？就是说。我是这么来，就是表达自我的一个方式，就我不再是用那种语言，我也不依赖于经验，我就是利用身边的能找到的东西，然后制造一种气质。
I was trying to create an ambient. I know the sound was horrible, and then nobody blames you to think it's horrible because I made them all by myself, and I'm immature. I did all the violins, and I didn't even know how to play a violin. I didn't even know that I had to apply, rosin to the string in order to make the sound. But I just did it, and I'm trying to make an ambient, an environment in the video. I know how to make it scary. I know how to make it disturbing. I know how to make it to make people uncomfortable, and that's what I was trying to achieve. And then it's me as an individual who did it. I just did it, and then. For many of us, I chose this way to express myself, not through language, not through experience, but I just want to say that this is the way I express myself, but it may make you think, is that the best way?
Okay, so you start the piece with quotes from Tesla, Trotsky, Huxley, and Kafka, all Western thinkers. and yet the film is full of many Chinese images, dragons and the Chinese flag and all these things. So what were you thinking about in terms of bringing the Western thinking in? And I wanted to ask you if you feel like it's important that you're a Chinese artist, or are you a world artist? You know, is your Chineseness important to your work?
这个部分呢是这样，就是首先我们里面有一张画是玛格丽特的无声原说，它的一个无声原说，就是所有世间所有的一切都是从没有生命的一个元素开始，它那张画是这个意思。那我把那张画呢，我就等于是临摹下来了，但是我把那头变成自己的头，那原画不是那个头，这是玛格丽特上很有名的画。
One of the images that I used was a famous painting by Margaret. Margaret, I used the English name of this painting.
无声原说，无声原说就是everything from no life.
Everything came from no life. Everything came from inorganic elements of chemistry, and I replaced that head in the images with my own head. And I basically created a copy and a replica of that original image with my own head on it.
对，然后那些所谓的西方的这个 thinker， 他们所有的话，其实这个话是我在跟大家开的一个玩笑，这些话都不是他们说，这话都是我说的。
All the words by the famous thinkers were all by myself, and that's a joke that I was provoking the audience.
当然，我把那名字放在那个后面的时候，大家就会把那个话再琢磨，就觉得那个话里面应该有点什么意思。
But after put their names on it, and if you think about the words that I said, you would think, oh, this is so philosophical, it means something.
Well, you definitely tricked me.
对，所以说，其实我等于是在某一个方面在质疑，就是说，质疑我们的这个文明吧，或者是质疑我们现代的人是文明的一部分。
I was casting a question on the civilization in general because the modern human being is part of our civilization.
对，因为你看，如果我写了这个名字，大家会想这个可能有什么意思。
You see, if I put those names on it, and you would think, oh, these sentences mean something.
对，然后你比如说拉小提琴，我连1秒钟我都没学过怎么拉小提琴，我上来就拉了。其实这个时候，你会让大家的一个反应是什么呢？就是他有些人是觉得这你拉的什么东西，有的觉得你亵渎了音乐，然后甚至有些人肯定是会愤怒的，因为你都没学过，你为什么要拉这个东西？然后还有一种呢，这应该是实验音乐，这个说不定是很重要的一个这个演奏者演奏的因为我没有那个在这儿我没法放肆目标，放音乐家的名字，大家肯定觉得这拉得很好，基本功特别好。
So for the music part, for example, I didn't even spend a second learning how to play a violin, but I just played it. And
Can you all hear the translation? No, it's not. Okay, yeah. Sorry. It's hard to make sure.
Okay, so for many people,
There, that's better.
Yes.
Like that. Yeah.
so for many people, they would think that what did you just played? It's irrespectful for the music. And some people would even be angry and say, how can you dare to play a violin without any learning? And it's so irrespectful for the music. And then some people, however, they would say that, oh, this is an experimental piece. It's by a very important artist. I couldn't really play the subtitles here in this room, but if I did, then those names will come out and people will think, oh, the music is by a very important experimental artist.
对，所有这一切不就是中国的现实吗？
And all of this is the reality in China.
对，因为我想在座的肯定有很多人去过中国，中国有2面，有特别体面的一面，然后也有特别不堪的一面，然后可能你会认识一些中国的朋友，他们可能是很优秀的，但是你可能去了有一些，比如说大学去讲课或者参加一些活动， 然后你会觉得这个是乱糟糟的，这什么都不知道，一点也不专业。然后你会就是完全是很多的这个情愫会交集在一起。其实这就是中国，这就是中国的现代性了。
So I said this is the reality in China because many of you may have been to China already. There are two sides of China. The one side is highbrow, it's very presentable, and then you would need outstanding individuals who are cultured and very outstanding individuals. But the other side is the China that is messy, that's unprofessional. I mean, if you go to have a lecture in the university, you see like things that you wouldn't even imagine. And these situations that combined is the modern China, is the modernality of China.
对，这个其实就是参与到这个就是在生活在这个社会上的每一个具体的一个个人，其实我们都是参与者，我们一起把这个世界创造成这个样子。
All of us individuals are the participants in this world, and we all together created the world that is today.
对，然后如果我们讨论到比如说政治或者政府里面也是由具体的每一个人组成的，它也不是一个很抽象的一个存在。
So if we are talking about politics, if we're talking about the government, even the government we are talking about is made up with individuals. It's not an abstract term, but it's made up with every single individual.
对，所以说龙年发生了什么？就这表面全是龙年发生，这个不是龙年发生，是每一年每一天发生。
So what happened in the Dragon Year, it's not what happened in the Dragon Year, it's what happened in every single day, every single year.
So, Barbara, whoops, I've got some feedback, but Barbara, I want to bring you into this to please help provide a little bit of context for this. How does this fit into the rest of what you see in the contemporary art scene? Sun Xun's work seems to be very, he's making there's a lot of social commentary, it seems like. So I'm wondering, is that typical? How much does his work stand out? Well, what does his work mean to you?
Well, Sun Xun is a very unique artist. I mean, he is really his own person and is not part of any trend that I would say I could find in the Chinese art scene. And even from when I first met him, which must have been 10 years ago, he was talking about social issues and how to incorporate them into his work. And he's very clever because he often uses animals or mythological creatures, or there's often the character of the magician, which you saw in this film, the man in the top hat sitting in a wheelchair, often appears in his films as symbols for politicians and political leaders and political parties and different issues. But because he uses these kind of metaphors, he's able to circumvent censors in China totally, because, the films make no sense to them, basically. And they seem like nonsense, or maybe for children or something. So, he has figured out a way to say some very pointed things about how governments run, not just the Chinese government, but governments worldwide, without pointedly pointing a finger at a specific leader, which might get him into trouble. But I have to say, for his generation, engaging with these issues is really a rarity.
Okay, yeah.
Most of the young artists that I meet are beneficiaries of the open door policy and of the economic expansion of China, and are living kind of privileged lives, and are not necessarily critical of what's going on in China because they've been beneficiaries of so many government policies. And so they choose not to make work about political issues, but about all sorts of other issues that artists can make work about. Everything from abstraction to feminism to post-internet, all kinds of things, rather than concentrate on the political. And Sun Xun is kind of unique for his generation in that he is thinking about these issues all the time.
And yet, Sun Xun, I mean, you were born in 1980, so it's after the Cultural Revolution. You didn't suffer through the Cultural Revolution. You didn't suffer through the Great Leap Forward, et cetera. You are a product of reform era, right? So why are these sort of social issues, why do you feel they're so, you feel you need to express and talk about these social issues? Is it something about your personal story, or your personal experience growing up, or what makes you want to look at those things?
Okay, I think it's the two very important part is one, I used to be a very younger student, and the younger people, so especially, is hate everything, against everything. Yeah, I used to be like that. So, but after school life, and I set up my studio, and I running my studio is like a company. Yeah. So in my studio, I think the most people is almost 50. So it used to be like that, but then I think that's a really big problem. Now it's 10. So through the 10 years studio, I think I talked with more than 500 people, younger people, and I know everything about them because they work inside and we know each other, we know more. So I really understand what is social, and what is real world.
You mean society? What's happening?
Yeah, society. Society.
Yeah.
So it's and if you walk on the street and you see many faces, it's not enough. It's not really society. So you have to know everybody thinking about what. So okay, I know that, and I say okay, something is not so simple, and this one. And another thing is okay, of course I get.
What do you mean by something is not so simple? You mean because you saw the challenges that they are facing, or what do you mean?
That's mean it's like 你没有办法对一个事情就是下一个非常非常简单的判断。
You can't really judge something by the book cover. You cannot judge something by the book cover.
对，就是，然后很多事情它是平衡存在的。
And that many things exist in parallel.
对，因为就像我们从心理学的角度来讲，每个人的内心最深处都有个黑暗的小角落。
And if we're talking about the psychology of everybody, every one of us has a very, very tiny dark corner in the inside of our heart.
当然，大部分是好的。
But most of it is very good and sunny.
And another thing is, okay, I get the education from the history of the history. So that's from school. And China, many forbidden. They never mention Tiananmen Square. They never mention Cultural Revolution. They just one word. That's done. So 10 years forgot about that. Because same political parties. So I make a mistake and okay, forgot about it.
Yeah.
So it's like that. But in the people's world, we have another history, and I got the history story from my father, from my grandmother, and even that from the Korean War, not the 1950 Korean War. I mean China and Japan fight in Korea, so it's Qing dynasty. Because my grandmother's grandfather used to be there. He is an army officer, and all of my family member service in army, except my father and me. Because my father is from a really bad family. Because the China Communism Party, they don't want this kind of bad people. And my grandfather is an old government officer, so it's really bad. So we can Kuomintang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I heard a lot of story from my grandmother. It's a China Civil War. So how the communism, how the old government, how they make a war, and how they kill normal people, and how they kill normal people. So, and I heard a lot of things from my father. What is the Cultural Revolution, and how funny about that really special time. It's really epic in people's world. Because we sit here now, it's no more thinking you cannot understand. People will do that. But that's true, they did. So I say, okay, this is what kind of problem? It's China, Mao, Zedong, they started to do the Cultural Revolution and the government. All people, normal people, they kill each other. They kill. And I never know that these people, but I kill. We never talk, but I kill. So we cannot understand. So the Cultural Revolution is really like the big monster from people's heart. So this is a problem until now. So in China society, some people is really terrible. You cannot understand. They just do some bad thing to you because no what. So this is society, this is our world. So we just live in and nobody can change it. It's like my father say, okay, China society change, good. Wait for my generation people past. Because away from the Cultural Revolution, and we still thinking some really, really bad thing. Still thinking, and they live in the society. So, okay, I got a lot of things from my family, and also I'm really close to society. I know the younger people what they think. Yeah, but some is really terrible, but most is good. Most of it is good. So different kind of people. So I said, everything is balanced. You cannot judge it right or left, black or white. You cannot do that. So this is choose life, and the artist we face to this situation, and how to find art from the situation. It's not like okay, this is bad, this is good, this is black, this is white. That's too simple. So I think the art includes everything, and the art finally is the balanced art. Whatever you talk about, I think this is art.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So I think this is the perfect moment to watch your second piece.
Yes.
That's okay. So we're going to step off for a minute. So can you get that going, Aaron? I'll turn the lights off.
I think that.
Yeah. Questions? So Sun Xun, let's start by talking a little bit about your technique. Tell us how you make these things. You said that you used to have 50 people working for you. Now you've got 10 people working for you. How do you do these things?
The technique is really like a normal company.
A normal company.
Like a normal company. So we separate the job and each one finish somewhere. But it's special. It's not the commercial way. It's my way. Yeah, it's my way. So how to do the animation and how to do the art, how to do the style. You know, it's normally my assistant from the normal art school. They get in my studio, they cannot work. Because we talk, we have to work together long term. For example, I will ask my assistant, 画一张很差的好，一张画要画的。
Create a very bad good painting.
So it's really about the philosophy to understand art. So you draw a beautiful art, beautiful drawing, easy. If you draw very ugly the painting, easy. But how to put them together? Looks ugly, but very good. So how to do that?
It is true that your work seems both horrible and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah,
And
it's
you achieved that.
yeah, it's you know, it's like the art language, the art language. So also about balance. So this is very important, and the reality technique is not difficult. It's easy, but how to understand that? That's very important. So normally, I think my technique is about how to understand it. It's not a jaw. The jaw is not important. How to understand jaw.
But also on a practical level, these animations require thousands of drawings and paintings. There's a piece he did called Time Spy, which is a 3D animation, all done in woodcuts. 5,000 woodcuts were required to make it. So what he does is he recruits students from the local art schools in teams to work on the technical, just churning out the many drawings that you need to produce this. And when I say that he's entirely unique for his generation, part of this whole thing, this production company, I mean, he started a production company within a year of graduating from college.
Use my speaker.
Oh.
Yep, yep.
Within a year of graduating from college, and he just has a vision, excuse me, that's like a general for like commanding the troops to get the thing done.
Okay, so this is probably a pretty fundamental question, but I'm curious about the finances of how you do this. So you graduated from art school and you started a company. How did you have the money to hire all these people to help you create these videos?
It's from my art, from my gallery, from my gallery, and I run in my studio. Of course, you have to pay, but I don't understand this as a business. So it's because I think what is artist's job? The artist's job is imagination. The imagination, okay, what is the imagination? Imagination is not you thinking some image and drawing on paper. That's not imagination. The imagination will change reality. So I want to do something, but impossible. Okay, thinking. How? And, okay, how to go into the reality and change it. I think this is real art. This is a real art. So I think, okay, the artist, you just open the company. It's fine. It's my work. All the whole life is my art. It's not only one work, one video, one drawing. That's a fake art. But real art is life. Yeah, and I think, and it's necessary we talk about art. If the art only a painting, that's a simple painting. Okay, so not necessarily we talk about art. Yeah, so I think so.
What did Donald Duck have to do with your video here? Why did Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse appear in the video?
Because it's a film is about Korean history. So of course we learn the history from that. And Korea is a very special country. It's small. Always, it's between China, Japan, and Russia. Many wars. So, and also the Eastern Asia modern history from Korean on. So there's China and Japan fight in Korea. So, and after the new China, 1950, and so China sent army, Americans sent army, so it's why the thing is like that. So the truth history is some China, this from the Second World War, some Korean people live in China. So, and the China government, okay, you are the army. So set up the army and they fight with Japanese. But after Second War, what happened? Okay, you are Korean and the China, Korean, North Korea is an all communism country. So okay, we are brother. Now I give you the money, the army, and with the weapons. So Kim Il-sung, so Kim Il-sung think, okay, I got a weapon and army. What I can do? Okay, I fight with South Korea. So then that's actually it's China army. It's China army. Okay, of course, American knows. And the pilot of the fine plane is from Soviet Union.
Yeah, but what does this have to do with Donald Duck?
Okay, so that continue.
Briefly, because we
Let
want to
me
have
continue.
questions from the audience too.
所以那个时候呢，就是美国就是派了兵，然后在朝鲜，其实就是维持朝鲜的现状。
So Americans sent army to the Korean Peninsula to remain the status quo of the Korea.
对，所以说美国人在二战之后建立的是一种什么东西呢？建立的是一种世界平衡的系统。
So what Americans set up in the world after World War II was a balance in this balance system in the world.
对，所以说美国参与的几场非常著名的战争，其实都是为了你们维持现状、平衡，不要改变它。
So many of the famous wars that Americans participated in was to maintain the status quo. Don't change. Maintain what you have right now.
And Donald Duck.
That's a long story.
简单，短一点好不好？
好。然后呢，这种平衡呢，其实伴随着另外一个东西，就是文化，就是文化。然后比如说好莱坞的电影，比如说迪士尼的动画。
And the balance comes with another issue is the culture. For example, Hollywood and Disney.
对，所以说呢，如果我这个展览在韩国发生，韩国、日本、中国这个所有的一切，其实很多都是美国文化在流行。
So this exhibition happened in Korea, and in China, Korea, and Japan. What's popular is the American culture.
对，所以说这个镜头表示的其实就是美国文化在东亚的存在。
The scene of the Donald Duck actually represents American culture in East Asia.
对，所以说它背后它还有一个关于国际政治的一个背景。
And behind that scene is the international affairs.
对啊，美国在韩国和日本都是有军队的。
America has army in Korea and also Japan.
对，然后全世界的人不都是看好莱坞的电影吗？
And the whole world watches Hollywood movies.
对，还有迪士尼的动
And
画。
also animations from Disney.
对，所以说这个讨论的是这样的问题。
And that's what I was talking about.
I think it's time to
So
turn to
Mickey
questions.
Mouse.
You want to say anything before we turn to questions? Like-
No, I think questions are great.
Okay, great. Let's have questions from the audience. Anybody? Yeah, please. Can you identify yourself first and then go ahead and ask the question? Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Sandra, and thank you. My question, the man in the top hat, I thought Abraham Lincoln. Why in a wheelchair in the first film? And am I correct that that was Abraham Lincoln, and why did you choose to have him in a wheelchair?
就是那个这不是林肯，那个是魔术师。
I was not Lincoln, I was a magician.
对，魔术师在我的作品里面一直出现。
I keep magician experience.
I don't think we got you
my.
right.
I always have magicians in my animations.
对，然后magician 的他的这个工作主要是说谎。
His function is to tell lies.
对，然后我这个里面所讲的就是一个说了一辈子谎的人，然后到最后他在想什么。
What I was saying is a person who was telling lies for his whole life, and what was he thinking about at the end of his life?
对。
Yeah, what Sun Xun has told me many times is that he uses the magician in his movies as like a stand-in for a politician, because magicians are the world's legal liars. We know they're going to entertain us, we know they're going to trick us, but we buy the ticket and we go to the and refuse that this is the way politicians are. So he always has one magician appearing in each of his animations at some point, it's just a cameo appearance.
Great. Any questions?
Hi, my name is Jeremy. I work at Show Institute. I was curious as to, and I don't know if this is a conscious decision or if it was, but I'd be interested in learning the process behind it. But I noticed that most, if not all of your characters in your films were male, as well as the kind of animals were very distinctly masculine looking. And I was wondering if the lack of a female presence was a conscious decision or reflective of a certain narrative or what?
The animal in my film is very
What?
I'm sorry?
the animal in my film is a female.
Oh.
Yes, because I don't want people the wrong direction. Because if you draw the face, and people will, who is that? People always thinking like this. So I just, okay, stop thinking, who is that? It's not important. So I put the circle color and the animal head. Because if you meet a dog, you never ask, okay, who is that? You just say, okay, it's dog. But it's people. The people's face, you will say, oh, who is that? And then you get the wrong information to thinking of my work. Because in my work, I don't want to put you on this way to understand. So why I use the animal, the no head, it's like that. 男女的问题。对，因为我第一个就回答了，我有女儿。
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, please.
Hi there, my name is Kelly. I'm a student at NYU. My question is that in your work, I see a lot of clashes between like very modern looking images and very traditional Chinese element. Like how do you kind of interpret the differences and the tensions in between those two elements?
有，这个是有的，因为我其实怎么说，因为我的画的这个风格是不固定的，我什么都画，我也不是说只画现代的，不是说只用传统的，因为比如说我在美国做的展览，就可能就特别传统，或者是特别传统，然后你比如说这个在韩国做的，那我想呈现一个东方世界，那就是东方的了，那它就会比较传统，对，所以说这个。本身这个风格，它其实对我来说就是语言。比如说，我需要一个让人联想到文革的这个感觉，那我就可以做一个文革的那种版画，然后这就是变成语言的一部分。然后如果说我们去宋代看嘛，那么就画一张宋代的这个画。但是如果说我们到纽约来看嘛，那可能你就画一张非常写实的这种西方油画。那这个就是完全不一样。所以这个风格呢，对于我来说，它是语言的一种。对。
Yes, because style, I'm very flexible in style, and then my style in terms of choosing which technique is basically part of my art language. So for example, if I did this video in Korea, and now of course I would use something that represents the Eastern culture, and that's why I chose to use something traditional. If I were to have an exhibition in America, for example, I may use something very modern, or I may use something very traditional, and that is very flexible for me. And then if I'm trying to have the audience think about Cultural Revolution, then I may use the technique of print making from the era. And if I were to talk about Song Dynasty, I would use the technique from the Song Dynasty. And if I were to represent New York, then I would choose something that is very realistic, very modern. That's just part of my art making language.
Questions? Please.
Hi, I'm Janet Biggs. I'm curious, when you start your work, is the narrative or the way you construct it predetermined and sticks with that determination throughout the entire piece? Or does it develop as you go along? Does it change?
I never no. I just from one image start to making. So my script always change. Yeah, because that is a commercial way. But for the artist, okay, you can imagine that, okay, you decide everything clean, and next work on that, you become to slave without thinking. So I always thinking, and my storyboard is always drawing. I write less, so always draw, and from image to image to image, and then the world is clean.
So then how do you command your troops? If you're the commander and you've got these troops who are working for you, helping to draw these images, but your story is changing all the time, how do you tell them what to do?
This is from travel. I'm not every day in the studio. That's from I travel and talk with different people and touch with different culture. So yeah, I will something the reality will change my thinking.
Right.
Yeah. So then
Go away,
I
then
change.
you do their work,
Yeah.
and then you come back and they say, then you say
Yeah.
a new direction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just wanted to add on the question about him using references and styles from all different points in history, that Sun Xun has told me how much he's been influenced by Heidegger and Aldous Huxley and Hegel, and he's very into the idea that truth is relative and that history is in the eye of the beholder. So what better way to convey that than to juxtapose different historic periods together in one work, and different painting styles together in one work. So whereas another artist might use Song Dynasty paintings to say something about their loyalty to Chinese culture, Sun Xun is doing it just in order for you to see that that was true for one period, and now in our time, we look at things very differently, and tomorrow we may look at things differently once again.
Wow. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question. Go ahead.
In your work, do you consider the Chinese diaspora, or another way of saying that, do you think about Chinese in America?
I never think Chinese in America, Chinese everywhere, and I just take care of myself because I'm not only in America. I travel different country. So, okay, you are foreigner. You become to the foreigner in the different culture, different world. Okay, you just enjoy and watch that and try to understand that. So it's really like a visitor. So yeah, I never think about that. Yeah, but I bring my cultural background and how to get together with a different location.
Go ahead, Barbara.
No, I'm looking good.
I was just going to ask, where do you see hope in China? And, are you happy being an artist?
I think the job is not too bad.